this? I don't know. It's me. It's Amid the Ruins. It's a guy who makes dire wave music. It's Amid the Ruins. Dire wave music. What I've talked about in, probably 100 articles at Jay's Analysis is the implementation of the AI smart grid and the giant smart cities, which is what IBM talks about publicly building. And that's where we're going, and that's what I think we have to be really concerned about. So all of these tensions, they are part of a long-term strategy to basically get everybody moved into mega cities. They'll be forced off of land and so forth for environmental reasons, and basically concocted and invented environmental nonsense. Then you'll be stuck in some hellhole mega city in a, basically a carton-sized apartment living over a Target or something, or inside of a Target or a Walmart, as I said several years ago. It's actually coming true now. There's actually Target cities. This is all part of the long-term globalist strategy. So, but to get there, you've got to have the constant clash, the constant alchemical blending and mixing and smashing together right out of Manichaeanism to produce the convergence, to produce the synthesis. And that's what's crucial in all this, and what is absolutely true from an alchemical, esoteric, philosophical, and geopolitical perspective, the fact the ruling elite seek to be post-human. jaysanalysis.com. What's up, boys and girls? What's up? I got that good boy hair today. I got that good boy hair. I'm in the back of the class obeying the rules with this perfect grooming. Only thing I do have is a piece of bubble gum in my mouth, which I'm about to get detention for. But I am being a good boy. Look at that comb, dude. I'm in the back of their class obeying the rules. Ain't no cutting up happening back here except this bubble gum. I gotta get looking nice for y'all though, cause it's the 60K stream. 60K, boy. Yeah, boy. 60K, we made it. We made it on the back of an empire of lies, an empire of boomer jokes and movies. That's how we got to where we are. We built this. Get up there, cow lick. Get up there, you damn. That little gay little piece of hair right there. Get up there. There we go. Look at that. You see, I got that band leader hairdo. I'm leading the band. That's how good I am today, baby. I'm a damn good boy in the back of the class, doing my homework. And yes, I'm gonna spit my gum out before somebody fusses, before the boomers go crazy. How dare you chew bubble gum on your stream, boy? You know how disrespectful that is? Why are you playing this crap garbage music? How do I hit fast forward on this computer to make this crap music in? I'm not joking. I've never had a stream where there wasn't a comment about the crap noise at the beginning. I'm not even going to explain anymore why there's 4 or 5 minutes of music at the beginning of a live stream. I've given up. It's never going to make sense. They're never going to understand what a live stream is. So just give up. No point in trying to explain it. But I'm treating myself, even though I'm a good boy in the back of the class, doing my homework, obeying the rules, being quiet, listening to the teacher. I am treating myself to a little bit of bubble gum. A little bit of that organic bubble gum today just to have fun. It's a fun day, y'all. Not every day has to be dark, occult, jibber jabber. You can have fun. You can have a fun day. Did you think you couldn't? I'm afraid to swallow this gum because it's like authentic gum. It's not, you know what I mean? I don't even know what's in there. It's like, ground up. I don't know what they use. Horse toenails or horsehair, whatever they use to make glue and bubble gum. That's why I'm not swallowing it. What would Theo Vaughn say right now? Remember when you had that first taste of bubble gum, boy? Damn, bubble gum, boy. Anyway, it's coming out. People are like, what is this crap? What is this channel? What is this stream? This was an amazing week, a high point, really. When you are really a fan of somebody else and, you've listened to people for a long time, you've had a lot of fun with their material, you develop a kind of a affinity, even though it's an e-affinity. And then you get to talk to somebody that you've appreciated and liked for a long time, and you get to interview them. And I was a little starstruck. I mean, I don't usually get kind of starstruck being a freaking E-celeb star, bro. But, in the last 2 months, I've been a little starstruck a couple times, meeting and talking to people that, 4 years ago you're watching and you're like, dude, it would be so cool to meet that person. And then 4 years later, it's like, booyah, interview. Everybody be sure and go check out that awesome interview with Mr. Guttermain himself. Bubble Goomer. Boomer over Coomer, I'll say that, unless you're a Boomer Coomer. Today we're just gonna have fun and we're gonna reflect on where we came from. I came from nowhere. I said I came from nowhere. That's a Riff Raff song if you didn't know. But yeah, we got to interview Guttermain, Mr. Samuel Heidenstein, on the Alex Hones show. That was wild. Of course, I had texted with him for about a year or so. We've been chatting a little bit on text here and there, so we had some good conversations and threw around some ideas, and then didn't really think he would do it. I thought he's not a big fan of interviews, but he did it. So I was like, dang, dude, what a treat! Right in the midst of our blessed 60K week. So here we are, 60K. And what better topic to discuss when we open things up down the, a little bit later on. I'll be doing the super chats and all that. Yes, you can bring up, other topics if you want to. But for right now, we're just going to be having fun and talking about our favorite movies. We don't have to do every movie analysis as a deep dive into, butt sex magic. We can have a conversation about movies that's not just dark garbage, right? So let's just talk about fun movies. And I've arranged some of my favorites and new gems, stuff I've newly come across that I've changed my mind on, or kind of weird, obscure stuff. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about, I've got how to go about David Lynch. I've got my favorite Mafia movies of late, because I've been going back through this Mafia phase of watching all the Mafia movies. We're not going to cover the obvious ones like Godfather. Come on. No, we're talking about other ones. Right? I've got favorite movies of all time, a separate stack. I've got favorite 80s movies here in a stack. I've got my favorite comedies here in a stack. And then I've got recent and obscure overlooked gems. Now, they're not recent, obscure, overlooked gems to everyone, but to me. And perhaps ones I've even changed my mind on. So it's going to be fun. We're going to sit back, relax. If you do want to support the stream, I know you're all here to talk about philosophy, because if I do a movie stream, everybody wants to talk about philosophy. If I do a philosophy stream, everybody starts talking about movies. So if you do want to talk about today's topic, you can. There is the Streamlabs if you want to throw it in, because I'm sure you all have philosophical questions, and that's fine. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. When you pay me money, you can talk about whatever you want, sort of. How do we get here? Well, I won't go into a bunch of boring stuff about stuff you all know. We've heard the story many, many times, but it is a great blessing to be able to make a living doing what you enjoy. I think that's the most surprising thing. And I would encourage people that, this may sound a little cheeseball, but trust me on this. So back when I was in my 20s, I don't know why. Maybe it was upbringing, negative people in your life. I don't know, but I never thought, oh, I could do that. You know what I mean? Like, could I start a business? Could I be my own boss? Could I just go do the things that I enjoy to do and make a living from that? When you're really young, you think, oh, I can do anything. I'm going to be Batman. I'm going to be whatever. I'm going to be a fireman and Batman at the same time. When you're a kid, you could think you could do anything. And then you grow up and you realize, oh, the world's not really like that. But I was pretty dreamy in high school in the sense that I thought I could do anything. I was like super, super confident. And then crazy stuff happened, and then I kind of changed my mind, and then I kind of got into a kind of a depressed period in my 20s, and drank a lot, and I felt like, there's nothing I could ever do that would be fun and would be my own career. It just didn't seem possible. And I had just a really low view of my own potential. So this is not really like a self-help type of thing. I don't usually do that kind of stuff. But I would encourage everybody, you can do it. You can do it. I know that's cheesy, but you really can achieve and do great things. And anytime somebody says you can't, again, it's not, I know it sounds cheeseball, but I promise you it's true. You can do great things. Now, that doesn't mean that if you're no good at singing, you can become a great singer. There is an element, obviously, of natural talent involved. But as Malcolm Gladwell's book talks about, I'm not huge into that dude, but I mean, he's kind of right about the whole 10,000 hours thing, right? I mean, if you put 10,000 hours into something, and if you really love it, you could potentially do that, right? If you can't put 10,000 hours into something, then you probably don't really love it. It's probably not what you're going to do for fun and try to make your career. But I do think the classic education model is done with. It's old school. It's out. And a lot of people are now realizing that, oh, maybe Jay knew what he was talking about when he started doing his own, basically, education type of system online. And now I tutor countless people, and we have a very large audience and a very large, happy paid subscriber crowd. But I never would have thought that stuff was possible unless I started, and I will give credit to the libertarians on this point, because they did encourage that entrepreneurial spirit in me. Even though I don't agree with every one of their positions, I remember back in my 20s, I started thinking maybe I could, do my own thing. And it is a great way to make this life much more enjoyable, to become your own boss, to do what you love to do. Now, that could be different for everybody, right? I had a friend of mine, Snack was just talking about some dude that cooks sausages, and he makes like $2,000 a week on YouTube or whatever with a camera just watching him cook sausages. I never would have thought you could make thousands of dollars, a week or month or whatever cooking sausages, but this dude does. He's the best YouTube sausage fryer. So I'm not saying that you're necessarily going to make it as a superstar sausage boy, but maybe. Now people are saying only in America. Now this dude is French. This dude is the superstar sausage boy, and he's French, making thousands of dollars. Anyway, I'm just trying to be encouraging, boys and girls, trying to tell you that you can become your own boss. I feel like Don Lapre. I'm so excited to tell you about how, with a tiny ad in classified papers, you can become a millionaire. That's not what I'm trying to tell you. Basically, I'm just telling you, give me your super chats, and will make you rich. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. You can do whatever you put your mind to. That's what I'm trying to say. What do we want to start with? Let's start with the more serious stuff. Recent Mafia movies that, I've seen a lot of these in the past, but I've reviewed them, and I appreciate them more. And thank you for those super chats. We'll get to those here in a second. Oliver Stone. Oliver Stone is a great director. And it was some of Oliver Stone's films that I took film classes on that really got me into Oliver Stone and got me into what I do now. If I had not taken that Hollywood history class that I took in college, and my teacher in that class was a huge Oliver Stone fan, I probably wouldn't be doing what I do now. Because that kind of, with other things, birthed the whole idea of esoteric Hollywood, right? So, Oliver Stone plays an important role in the birthing in my mind of writing a book on the comparison of Hollywood and history. And because there was some dude that wrote a book back in my undergrad, I forget the guy's name, but he wrote a book on Hollywood history focusing on Oliver Stone films. And so we watched Nixon, and we watched Salvador, and we watched JFK, and the staples that you would expect. But we didn't watch Wall Street, and I now have a much greater appreciation for Wall Street. So if you've not seen Wall Street, by the way, there's also a lot of young people who don't know anything about movies, like the Zoomer age. And they're like, I don't know what to watch about. What's a good movie, right? Well, this stream will help introduce you young boys, you little zooms to some good movies. So why is Wall Street good? Right? And then we're not going to do an in-depth analysis of every one of these. We're just kind of go through them and have fun. This is about insider trading and about, it's not directly about the CIA, but it shows you the corruption on Wall Street. And it's accurate. Michael Douglas is basically training. I forget what's his name, Bud, the Charlie Sheen character. Charlie Sheen's kind of close to Nicolas Cage if you do the voices, but and Michael Douglas is Gordon Gekko. He's training Charlie in how to be a good trader. And what's most interesting about the process is that he's kind of like his handler, right? Charlie thinks that, being successful in Wall Street is like, being the quickest and, snakiest guy on the telephone, making the calls and whatever. And he says, no. You basically become an intelligence asset, an intelligence aid. Go get intelligence on people, what they're doing, high-level corporate dudes. That's how we then know how to do our, insider trading and so forth, right? So it's not directly about the Wall Street and the CIA, but loosely it is. And if you watch it, you can pick up on that. And of course, if you aren't initiated into the basics of, geopolitics and conspiracy, you wouldn't notice that, you wouldn't catch that. But as we say here at Jay's Analysis, the movies teach us more about reality than reality. It's the weird world that we live in. So if you're wanting a good introduction to Oliver Stone, you could start with Wall Street. You could do JFK, you could do Nixon, you could do all these other staples of Oliver Stone. You could do Scarface. But I'm including Wall Street in my Mafia stack because when old Oliver does Scarface, it's different mafias. And in fact, these two mafias have tied up. They're tied together, and they have intimate BFF relations. So I know. You're like, are you gonna do that? No, I'm not gonna do dumb Al Pacino impression. Say hello to my little friend. No, I'm not doing that. I will spare you because it's played out, dude. Come on. There's some interesting symbolism in Scarface that I recently picked up. You watch Scarface and you'll notice that they are hanging out at Club Babylon. Did you notice that? It's Club Babylon, and I think it's Babylon. Now it's Brian De Palma, obviously, but it's one of Oliver's screenplays. So I count it as an Oliver Stone movie, basically. But we don't see so much of an intelligence agent component to this movie, but what we do see is kind of the theme similar to Godfather of the promise of Americanism, that I'm going to go to America, achieve all my dreams through the American system and the American dream, and it's all for the family, for my family, for us, and then it ends in total destruction. So the impetus for, as we saw with Godfather, the protection of the family is what supposedly drives the mob mentality here, and then it ends up self-destructing. That is a powerful message if you pay attention. That actually makes sense because the logic here it's illogical, right? Just as with not Tony Montana, but Michael Corleone, it's like he everything was for his family, and then how does he end up in Godfather 3 with no family? Right? They do the hit on Sofia Coppola, right? Sophia plays his daughter in the movie. Welcome everybody. We got 250 nerds. We're having fun. We hit 60. Are we at 60 yet? We're right at it. We're about a handful of people away. A few. Let's see where we're at. We're almost at 60. So 4 subs away from 60. So I've also gained more of an appreciation for Scorsese recently. I've never disliked Scorsese, but I've never been really into Scorsese. If you watch After Hours, that's a great satire. I grew up with After Hours. watching that movie many, many times. And a lot of people don't realize that's Martin Scorsese. They're what? This is a Martin Scorsese satire movie? What? Well, yeah, there are actually quite a few goofy. If you watch that, what's the Nicolas Cage? I just forgot it. We just viewed it on the recommendation of one of, I think Pepflow. Shout out to Pepflow for that recommendation of Nick Cage can't sleep and he's riding around in the ambulance. What is it? What is it? Bringing Out the Dead? Yes. Bringing Out the Dead was excellent. It's very different. It reminded me of After Hours, actually, in many ways. It's somewhat satirical. It's not totally satire, but definitely enjoy. I definitely enjoyed that. But I didn't even realize that I'd never seen the full Gangs of New York. Now, in one aspect, I really appreciate the film, and I noticed a lot of symbolism that many years ago when it came out. I remember watching about maybe 45 minutes. I think I fell asleep, not because the movie's bad, but I probably put it on late at night or something when it came out on DVD. But it's a pretty good movie on many levels. I'm assuming everybody here kind of knows the setting. I'm not going to rehearse the setting, but if you go watch it, pay attention to Bill's symbolism. You notice his eye is what? Like the Confederate, or not the Confederate, it's the American flag and an eagle. He's also a supporter of the Confederacy. And at the point where he comes in and bitches out Leo, he's getting suspicious of Leo over there sleeping with Cameron Diaz, that like 1800s level thought right there. Bill's over there wrapped in the American flag. Did you notice that he's wrapped in the American flag? And he spouts this jingoism, right? So I think there's an aspect to which he's demonized because of that. But I will grant that the film is the most interesting angle of this film is the fact that he presents the elite as intentionally manipulating the gangs. I never caught that until this viewing, the full viewing here. And it's very subtle, but if you pay attention, that's kind of what they realize at the end. Even Bill and Leo kind of look at each other when they're having that cannon smoke battle there. They look at each other and they realize, they're like, wait a minute. We just got screwed over by all those fat bankers in New York. Like they just screwed us over. And they're all just kind of sitting back with cigars and laughing. And I think it's set during, some historic riots that actually did occur. So that was an interesting element to the film I'd never noticed. Now, it's not your typical mafia film. It is a mafia film. But it's, early Irish gangs. 1800s era mafia. So pretty powerful film if you pay attention to the symbolism. I'm going to skip, obviously Goodfellas, but I'm going to skip Goodfellas just because everybody knows about Goodfellas. If you didn't watch our episode of Hollywood Decoded on Chinatown, I highly recommend you go do that. We put a lot of time and effort into really deconstructing Chinatown, and although it's not explicitly about the Mafia, it is inadvertently about the Mafia and William Mulholland and this kind of old school level corruption going on in Los Angeles with the water schemes. And the reason this movie is so powerful, even though, yes, I know it's Roman Polanski, but the reason this movie is insightful for what we all know nowadays is because it's about the abusive relationship between the millionaire guy who stands for and what he does to his daughter. So here you have like a mega elite abusing his daughter and impregnating her, and they have a slow boy. The results in a not so beautiful slow boy, if you catch my drift. But really insightful, isn't it? That's kind of like everything that we're noticing nowadays with what's coming out in the news, isn't it? Yes, it's always there in the movies. Remember Tom Tykwer? Remember when he did Run Lola Run. I got a couple Taikver films that made the list here. This is kind of an overlooked mafia film. A lot of people haven't watched this, and they didn't notice that it's about the mafia. Now, it's not directly about the mafia until the end. Have you seen The International? And I think Taikver is a good director. He's a German director. He makes some pretty wild films, pretty stylistic. That was probably one of the last notable ones. I haven't kept up with him since International, but if you saw Run Lola Run, back in the 90s, then you know that, there's some pretty, I guess he was doing auteur type of stuff, you could say. This is a little more mainstream in terms of, you got Clive Owen, Naomi Watts, but the premise of this film is large-scale money banking corruption. Bankers are being killed left and right. Remember when this was happening a few years ago? I wrote an essay. I wonder if Tom Taikver was telling us something, because The International has bankers being killed. You've got KGB guys who were former KGB guys who are now, running large sums of money, and they basically track down this guy that they think is behind all this. And the KGB guy's like, yeah, we don't really run this. There's a higher level banking power. Is this black nobility? Is this a black nobility family banking empire? I'll leave it to you to decide what you think it's about. But the final sequences of who's running this thing, and by the way, there are some very subtle references to large defense companies, large conglomerates that are real. So pay attention if you're watching Tom Taikver. Another Scorsese. Again, I'm gaining more appreciation for Scorsese. Not that I didn't like him, but I remember when Casino came out. It was all right. But I didn't know as much then as I do now. And so I didn't appreciate the insights into the rise of gambling in Vegas, which is all present in Casino. You watch the first 10 minutes, and there's this really quick done sequence where it starts showing how the money is laundered through unions, ties in the politicians, and it ties in the mob, and it ties in casinos. Yes, duh. I never even thought about that until I had, read about it extensively and then gone back and watched this. And I was like, well, dude, Martin Scorsese told us this a long time ago. Corruption of the unions and so forth. Right now, I knew that unions are corrupt, but I didn't understand that it tied into Vegas and, like swindling and all this kind of stuff, right? And so, yes, you go back once you learn about this stuff and you rewatch Casino, and it's like, dang, Casino actually is really good. So I do recommend Casino if you're looking for an insightful mob film. This one is not so good. A lot of people, there's a lot of debate, right, over Brian De Palma. Some people love Brian De Palma. Some people hate Brian De Palma. I'm neutral. I remember when I went to see it when it came out, I thought, oh man, this is going to be great. I was not impressed with Carlito's Way. It was not that great. I went back last year, reviewed it. Still don't think it's that great. So, yes, Scarface is great, but Carlito's Way is just not that great. It's dumb. I mean, you're watching these sequences, and I think that something when Al Pacino's laying on the roller, the hospital roller, and he screams out something ridiculous. It's just, I think it's abysmal. It did not live up to its expectations. So I've sprinkled in here, some pieces of crap that I think are no good. I apologize too, by the way. We had 7 hours straight of debate last night, so I'm kind of like, my mind is still a little mush, so I'm drinking coffee. But I've been watching too many mob things because I'm starting to talk like this. Stay, fuck you. You know.
I do this little thing with I'm starting to do my own little Tony Soprano. If you catch this, I'm starting to do my own little Tony.
So yes, I'm in the midst of The Sopranos, and it's definitely one of the best TV shows of all time and one of the best mob movies of all time. But we're going to save Sopranos because that's going to be its own show. So we're doing some of the lesser remembered mob movies. You might be surprised I'm including this under the mob, but if you think about it, it makes sense because it's not directly a mafia movie, but given, once again, all the stuff that we know now, oh, dude, go back and watch 8mm. Obviously, some of the things in this movie I can't just openly talk about on YouTube, but I'm sure most of the audience knows what this movie is about. And old Nick here plays it good. The movie is about the trafficking. Now, ultimately, we know the main villain in this movie is that I think he's a slow boy. He's a not so beautiful slow boy, I think. Isn't he something? Got something up with him. But if you remember at the beginning of the movie, the first case that he investigates, that's a big elite dude involved in this. Remember that? And what does that tie into? All of the stuff that's coming out now, all the Hollywood garbage coming out now. Boy, was this movie insightful for that stuff. It deserves its own analysis, I know. And by the way, there is Masonic symbolism in this movie. However, number one, I have to warn you that this movie is brutal. It's not for sensitive eyes, not for kids. Definitely don't watch this unless you're a mature adult. Not because it has so much visual. It's just the themes are bad. I can remember maybe one or two scenes that are kind of gross, but the overall theme of the movie is rough. It's kind of crazy that this is a movie. I mean, I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. Very relevant to what's out now. Overlooked mob movies. I watched it back in high school. I was like, I was falling asleep. It was kind of slow. Watched it again. This is almost a masterpiece. I've changed my mind on Once Upon a Time in America. Now, there's some weird things in this movie. There's Kabbalistic themes in this movie. You'll have to go watch it. Again, maybe in the future we'll do a whole breakdown of this, but this is not the stream where we're going to break down every symbol in every movie. We're just going through them, having fun. Here's a weird thing. Sergio Leone directs this, but this is about the Jewish Mafia. So you got like the spaghetti Western guy directing the movie about the Jewish Mafia. And then you've got like the Jewish Mafia deciding who plays who in The Godfather about the Italian Mafia. It's just a weird thing I noticed. And so Sergio puts his own unique European styles into the camera work and the cinematography. It's just it's different. It's not like, I mean, the themes are similar to The Godfather, but it is not The Godfather. It's unique. I thought it was really good. I was really impressed with my reviewing of this, and I would recommend it to anyone looking for an insightful mob film, because we don't have that many films about the Jewish Mafia, right? We got a lot of films about Italian Mafia, and then here we have this is probably the most well-known about the Jewish Mafia. Once Upon a Time in America. If you don't know the story, of course, it's three guys growing up, starting their little clique, and then down the road there's betrayal. And so it's sort of, it's Robert De Niro and James Woods sort of facing off, having this lifelong rivalry. And will they forgive one another, or will they go to their grave with the enmity, you see? That's what it's about. However, the Kabbalistic themes that pop up were surprising. I did not expect that in this movie. But if you pay attention, you'll notice it. And once again, of course, I know everyone knows this, but I did include it in the Mafia series here because it's definitely one of the best mob films of all time. We're again excluding The Godfather, obviously. But if you've not seen season 1 of True Detective, yes, mature themes here once again, because there's a bunch of spirals everywhere, and them spirals is portals for the booty holes of the universe. It's just Satan's going to come through them booty holes. That's literally what it's about, but not in the way that you think if you haven't seen it. Definitely go watch True Detective. Very dark, but full of deep esoteric symbolism and really telling us what's going on. Look at what all's come out since Eyes Wide Shut, True Detective, 8mm, right? It's all come out. All right, that's all. That's not all the dark stuff. While we're on the dark things, because all the rest of this isn't dark. A lot of people. So David Lynch is an acquired taste. Okay, when I watched David Lynch in high school, I thought, well, he's a cool, auteur director, but I didn't understand Lost Highway. I just like, what? I didn't get Blue Velvet. I liked Wild at Heart okay, but I didn't really get it. Because when you're in high school, when you're a young idiot, unless you're a good boy in band class like me right now, at the back of the class, the front of the class, shit, I just got moved up to the front of the class. With that perfect grooming that I got. Until you're older, you don't get satire, right? I think satire is an acquired taste. A lot of other cultures don't even have satire. They don't. It's just totally foreign. So I think you got to have like a high IQ to get satire. And then also there are the esoteric elements that requires, a good bit of knowledge and understanding that most people don't have. So I think as you get older and you're more experienced, you come to appreciate satire and the esoteric elements. And not many people combine those two very well. I mean, you think of directors, Kubrick has a lot of esoteric stuff. There's not comedy really. I mean, yeah, Dr. Strangelove is, but typically speaking, it's either or, right? You've got directors who do a lot of comedic stuff, not much archetypal there. I mean, I guess you could argue that Scorsese has a few satires under his belt, but in terms of symbolism and esoteric stuff, he doesn't come anywhere near David Lynch. So if you were going to go about David Lynch, I would say the first place to start, and I was surprised I could believe Isaac. Isaac hadn't even seen. I'm not trying to be mean to Isaac. I was trying to tell him, you gotta watch Twin Peaks, bro. How are you gonna do an esoteric analysis of Hollywood? You gotta watch Twin Peaks, bro. But I'm not going to tell you to start. If you're new to David Lynch, don't start with Twin Peaks. Start with Wild at Heart. It's an amazing role by Nick Cage. I will warn you, there are some mature adult themes at the beginning of the movie. So beware of that. But if you keep with the film, you will notice that this is a satire, once again, of weird themes in America and Americanism. And in that regard, Nick is obviously a kind of an Elvis-ish character. He's a young, rebellious buffoon. Kind of a James Dean type of character. And Laura Dern represents just the naive stupidity of a Southern belle, or ignorance, the ignorant young couple that thinks that they can take on everything, almost enigmatic of America itself, right? And it's the satire is very, very well done here. And there's also the Wizard of Oz theme. I know it's a book, whatever, but you've got some very interesting, even mind control element themes, because the Mafia comes up in this movie as well, connected to Laura Dern's mom. And what do we know from Dave McGowan's books? Laura Dern, totally tied into the Hollywood elite. I always get it wrong, her uncle or granddad, high-level skull and bones, State Department. So Hollywood, Deep State, right there with Laura Dern. Everyone knows Bruce Dern too, Laurel Canyon scene. But also one of the greatest villains. I mean, Bobby Baru is just phenomenal. I mean, he's got the teeth of a purebred Southern slow boy. And everybody remembers Bobby Baru's teeth from this movie. Start with Wild at Heart if you're wanting the Lynch initiation. Okay. Where would you go next with Lynch? I would say next we're going to up the ante a little bit and do Fire Walk with Me. Now, you're not necessarily going to know the story of Twin Peaks per se, but it's okay. You can watch this movie and you'll get the idea of the story of Twin Peaks. But the reason I'm telling you to watch this one is that this is going to give you the next level of initiatory experience in David Lynch. Because the other ones are typically so out there that they don't really make any sense until you've done a couple of the more normative ones, right? Again, warning, mature themes. Blue Velvet, it's important in the Lynch canon. There are mature themes here, so don't get mad and upset if you find this. This is not for everybody. I don't think it shows too much nudity or anything like that, but the themes and what's assumed in the film is pretty dark. But the reason, I mean, it's kind of his first hit in the sense of it was like blew everybody a con away and this kind of stuff. So Dennis Hopper's character in this as Crazy Frank, just a side note, he comes up basically almost the same character in River's Edge, except less psychotic. No, I don't know. It's basically the same character. And of course, Dennis Hopper hanging around with all the Laurel Canyon people as well. Pretty wild stuff there. There's a lot of symbolism, a lot of stuff that, you know, it's noir. It needs to be broken down, but I'm just giving you the initiatory way to go about David Lynch. I'm not going to tell you to watch, I'm sorry, my mind is mush after 7 hours of debate. His first movie. I'm embarrassed now. Then I would say do the Hollywood trilogy. Okay, then you're ready for the initiation into the Hollywood trilogy. Okay, and you're going to start with Lost Highway. And read my analysis of Lost Highway if you want to go that route, because it's going to explain what this crazy movie is about. I think some people think it's the best analysis. Some people think my Mulholland Drive analysis is really good. I think it is in Esoteric Hollywood 1, but I don't think I put Lost Highway in there. And I'm called. This is my theory, right? Or, well, mine and my buddies. We think this is the Hollywood trilogy because these are critiques of Hollywood or entertainment. So next you want to do Mulholland Drive. It's a little disjointed, even though it did win, because I think they thought it would be a TV series, but it ended up a movie. So there's some weird sequences that seem like they would make more sense in a TV show. But it's basically the pop star's descent into madness and possession, and alters and alternate personas. It's a kind of pop star MK Ultra movie, basically. And this kind of is too, but it's more so about a guy who loses his mind with jealousy. Frank Madsen, right? The Bill Pullman character. But once you've kind of laid the groundwork of what we're working with in terms of theosophy symbolism, Zen and Tibetan Buddhism symbolism and archetypes, tulpas, this kind of stuff, cyclical history, alters, MK Ultra. Once you've got that kind of as a framework, then you can start to decode the lexicon of symbols that David Lynch uses. Then you can progress to the craziest of the crazy. Now if you thought Mulholland Drive was crazy, Inland Empire is Mulholland Drive on acid in a nightmare. I mean, this is some crazy stuff. However, It's playing with meta stuff. So we got the meta element to it, which is interesting. And it's a kind of a continuation of the theme that we saw in the other two, Lost Highway, Mulholland Drive, of the star kind of going mad. So Laura Dern stars as the star, as a star. We get themes of trafficking. Some of the people involved in this trafficking appear to dissociate, to have alters. It relates to networks of, I think it's trafficking like Polish prostitutes or something like this. It's been many years since I've seen it, but and then there's a weird cameo of Julia Ormond, and she says something to the effect of, "They are poisoning the skies." Heavy stuff. So yeah, then I would say, I know even though we've watched Twin Peaks the movie, then I would say you can progress to Twin Peaks the show. Now, if you're starting Twin Peaks the show, Isaac, whoever, the first few episodes are going to be a little slow, so you have to stick with it. But I promise you, if you do stick with it, it will be very rewarding, because it's a dark satire, occult psychodrama. And it takes a little while to get going, but once you are into it, it's its own dimension of just never-ending esoteric decoding. It just never stops, right? I mean, there's always something new in Twin Peaks, and you just have to understand that it's different levels of stuff going on. Like on one level, it's making fun of soap operas, right? Soap operas are really big in 1992 or whenever. On another level, it's a dark satire. On another level, it's an occult drama. And it's got the themes of cults, ritual magic, human trafficking, Crowleyan stuff. Could you imagine? If you watch this, could you imagine in 1992, this is what's on network TV, and everyone's watching this on network TV at night? I mean, something like this would never be on TV. It's like we're in a different dimension. It's crazy. I don't know. It's nuts. And then you do need to watch season 3. Now, people are divided on season 3. I didn't have a problem with it. As with any of the shows that skip 20 years and do a new season, something of the original spirit is kind of missing. The new X-Files seasons, they're all right. But I didn't have a problem with it. A lot of people were mad about the ending of season 3. I mean, have you watched any other David Lynch movies? They're all in that way. What are you talking about? How is that one any different? Anyway, then with those under your belt, you can branch out into, other. Eraserhead is what I went blank on. I would not start with Eraserhead. Then you can branch out. So we haven't had a super chat in a long time. Hopefully everybody's having fun. We got 300 plus nerds. If you want to support, you can support with the super chats. We're just having fun, chilling, talking about movies, even though my mind is potatoes right now. But that debate last night was so stupid. And then I basically took on the rest of the horde of the atheists after that guy for 7 hours. So I kind of don't know what's going on today. But Monkey for 215 concept Jay's analysis and Gel Mibson interview. Do you think that's possible? I don't think he knows who I am. I would interview him if he wanted to do an interview, but he's probably never heard of me. Probably doesn't. Probably wouldn't interest him. But if he is watching, yeah, let's do an interview. Absolutely. You think I'm going to turn down an interview of somebody that big? No way. Sam Haynes for $3. Sam Hyde Haynes. Anyway. How true do you think directors like Kubrick and Spielberg made some of the ideas in their film? Also, could you publish the top 25 books to read down the rabbit hole? Congratulations on 60K. Well, thank you for that, Sam Haynes. I mean, we have the Global Elite Book Series, right? So if you go to the website, click on the recommended reading, which I'm reworking. I'm trying to put in the Amazon links to the actual books. It's kind of a mess still because I can't get it formatted right. And there's other problems with the website. I'm still working. It's been a nightmare. I'm trying to work through these problems with the website for the last week. So I apologize if you've had any problems in the website. Hopefully we'll get those resolved in the next few days. But just go to the website and read the Global Elite Book Series. There's also a YouTube playlist down on my channel of the Global Elite books. So thank you for that question. Some more of my favorites. Let's look at what are the staples? What are the staples that I always go back to? I always love some of my favorite, not all of my favorites, but again, I'm going to be skipping some, like, do you like Star Wars? Do you like The Lord of the Rings? We're not going to be doing any of that soy stuff. Other stuff. What are some of my favorite movies? I get that question a lot. What is Christopher Nolan's best movie? Is it Insomnia? Or is it Inception? I think Inception is my favorite Christopher Nolan movie. I never get tired of this movie. I love this movie. It's great. It's esoteric. It's archetypal. It's got the archetypes, right? I mean, this would be like pure JBP, right? Jordan Peterson on celluloid. If we were to make Jordan Peterson into a movie, we'd be getting some straight up Inception right here. I think it's better than the Dark Knight stuff. If you go back and watch The Dark Knight Part 3, there's some disjointed stuff going on there. But I've never gotten tired of Inception. I've always thought that it's a phenomenal movie. It's unique. We haven't really seen a science fiction movie. There have been some good ones recently. I thought Vivarium was really good, very very unique, very creative. If you're looking for a new sci-fi movie that's got some unique twists and themes, go check out Vivarium. But man, I mean, when was the last time that there was an Inception level movie that was that good? And it was one of the early Jay's Analysis reviews. It was one of the ones that really first kicked off the back in 2010. It wasn't my first movie review, but it was one of the first that caught on. In fact, somebody emailed it to Simon Pegg, or tweeted at him, and Simon Pegg read it and said that he really liked my theory of the analysis. So I've never talked to Simon Pegg. I'm just saying that he said he liked the analysis I did of Inception. So staples of Jay's Analysis. Time Bandits. Time Bandits is a classic. I love Terry Gilliam movies. They're all really fun. I mean, they obviously do have some kind of Gnostic, Masonic themes. He's probably a Freemason. But how can you not like Time Bandits? I mean, I did a whole chapter in Esoteric Hollywood too on Time Bandits because Time Bandits is great. If you've never seen it, I mean, this is a kids movie. Yeah, but sometimes kids movies are great movies. So who cares if it's a kids movie, right? Who gives a shit? How can you not like Mad Max? I mean, I think Mad Max is definitely one of the best. I mean, the whole trilogy. The new one, I mean, it's a great movie. I'm not going to detract because it's like George Miller has to constantly up the chase scenes. Like every film in the Mad Max canon has to have a chase scene that ups the previous one. The first Mad Max is more of like a student film. It's still great. It's very well done. Road Warrior is excellent, and it's got a little more budget. Still kind of a B movie, but it's pretty much a perfect movie. I mean, I can't think of anything wrong from a movie vantage point with this movie. Beyond Thunderdome, I will take anyone to task who thinks that Beyond Thunderdome is not good. This is an excellent movie. People might take issue with the goofy stuff, but I mean, if you watch Road Warrior, there were goofy elements in Road Warrior. What's wrong with the goofy stuff? Is it the Tina Turner? Is it the Lost Children, Peter Pan stuff? Whatever. I mean, go read my analysis of Mad Max, and I think I'll make a convincing case for it being really good. Obviously, yes, Blade Runner. We're gonna have to put Blade Runner here. We're not gonna. But I have a classic analysis of Blade Runner. If you want the esoteric themes of Blade Runner, go watch that. 12 Monkeys is a staple. Always come back to 12 Monkeys. If you haven't seen it, we mentioned Time Bandits. I like 12 Monkeys better. Right? This is my favorite Terry Gilliam movie. I've watched it many, many times over the years. Probably his best movie. Somebody might like Brazil. Come on, 12 Monkeys is better than Brazil. Brazil's good, but it's also kind of slow and kind of agonizing. It's like, ugh, because it's so dystopian, dude. You feel like you're going through it with the protagonist, which is the point of the dystopia. But this is the one also that kicked it all off, right? Conspiracies in movies. Well, here's a whole conspiracy movie called Conspiracy Theory. This is a classic. If you've never seen this, if you don't know about Catcher in the Rye and the MK Ultra assassins, it's in here, bro. This movie is about MK Ultra. Did you know that? Back in 1990, this is my senior year too. So, 1997, Dick Donner puts out a movie about MK Ultra. And you'll find all kinds of unique little cryptic things thrown in that at the time would have sounded ludicrous, like when Jerry, the Mel Gibson character, talks about the Grateful Dead being connected to the CIA. And I remember watching the movie and I'm like, that sounds insane, right? No, it's not. It's absolutely true. Nowadays, this is like, well, yeah, duh, right? But imagine in 1997, nobody knew that. What? I mean, nobody knew what MK Ultra was in 1997, unless you were some, really obscure sort of conspiracy-minded person. Thank you for the super chats. We got 340 people here. I'm trying to wake up a little bit. I apologize for kind of being out of it. Let me get a big dose of coffee there. Thank you for those super chats. Let's say we hit 60. We're having our lonely 60K party here. I run off all my friends. They're all gone. Don't have any more friends anymore. I'm just joking. That's just a joke. Before the haters run with that. But, it's lonely at the top. I'm joking. A steep rule line. We made it. We are at 60,005 subscribers. So thank you, everybody. It's been a great ride. Now it's time to quit and go home. I'm joking. Remember the guy? There was a dude who was like, when I hit 10,000, he was like, "You're done, dude. It's over. You're never getting above 10. You're done. It's over for you, dude. You've peaked. You peaked." Bro, we're on our way now to 100K. All right, so get out of here. We made it to 60. We should be at like 1 million. I mean, come on. We should be at like 1 million, dude. You know what I mean? Come on. But I mean, you got channels dedicated to freaking just images of sausages that have probably 1 million subscribers. So there's a dude that just fries sausages that has more subscribers than me. Does that speak ill of humanity or of me? Or of both? Maybe I'm actually not better than fried sausages. Or maybe all of humanity just is dumb and would rather just watch a sausage fry. Maybe I should fry sausages as I watch movies. And that could be my whole shtick. It's like sausage boy movie night. Sausage boy movie night. That sounds a little homo, though. That might be a little homoerotic. So I don't know if I want to take on the title of Sausage Boy Movie Night. My in the last 5 years, my favorite director has probably evolved to be John Carpenter, and David Lynch. I mean, John Carpenter's just fun. And they never get old to me. I don't know why. Even the silly ones. Even Christine. Even Prince of Darkness. I could watch Prince of Darkness like every other night. It's so silly. It's fun. It's so out there. It's like, dude, what were you on? How much weed did you smoke to come up with that crazy movie, dude? And I don't have the DVD of Prince of Darkness, but I would include Prince of Darkness here because we're doing the staples, the favorites, the ones that we, if you're going to pop in one of your favorites, you had a bad day, you want to watch a movie, get your mind off of things. What am I going to do? I'm going to watch something like The Thing. And I know it's a remake, but John Carpenter's The Thing is a perfect movie. There's nothing wrong with this movie. It hits on all points. Story, cinematography, action, suspense, tension, dialogue, philosophy, depth, symbolism. Yeah, it's a perfect movie. If you've not seen The Thing, go watch it and pay close attention because it's a perfect movie. And not many people can make a perfect movie where everything in the movie just hits a list, right? Because it's difficult. You're working with a bunch of people. You're working with famous people. A lot of famous people are buttholes because they're famous, egos. I mean, it's just a lot of gears that have to work in tandem. One of my other favorites of all time, John Carpenter, Big Trouble in Little China. I grew up with Big Trouble in Little China. I know the lines to Big Trouble. I can just say the lines, right? I know that, and you've heard me do the Jack Burton lines so many times. I won't burden you with another Burton impersonation. We actually have a couple more John Carpenters in the favorite of all time stack here. Did he know? Well, he probably just thought that, look, we're going into a dystopia and Hollywood and New York would collapse. Now, Escape from LA is a lot of fun, but it's not. It's, dude, Jack Burton surfing the hurricane. If you had left out Jack Burton surfing the hurricane, it would be a way better movie. That was really dumb. But Escape from New York is excellent. It hits on all cylinders. It's predictive. Not a lot of esoteric symbolism, but that's okay. I mean, did John Carpenter know that LA and New York were going to collapse? And like right now, this week, the media, all across the media, people fleeing in droves, New York and LA, Hollywood, collapsing. They're literally escaping from New York and escaping from LA. I just tweeted it today. That's crazy. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention the esoteric elements in Big Trouble in Little China. It's about trafficking. Did you notice that? What? They're trafficking those women. Dude, that's crazy. I'll put that in my analysis, by the way. And we did cover Escape from New York when I did my DARPA analysis like 2 years ago. So go find the DARPA video, and I tied it in with this. Also an important chapter in Esoteric Hollywood 2, They Live. This is one of my favorite B movies. Well, it's kind of a B movie. But, I mean, this tells you everything about the New World Order and the elite. Absolutely. If you've never seen They Live, I mean, oh, come on, right? This is like, if you're wanting conspiracy movie 101, right? You're gonna start here. Here's where you're gonna start. And then progress to the others that we've mentioned. All right, so everybody hates this, but I do have a nerd element to my soul, to my psyche, that just comes with comes with being who we are as people with doses of tism. And that is Dune. Dune is a masterpiece, even though everybody involved in Dune hates it. Everybody who loves Dune loves it. It has its own cult following. There's all the different versions out there online. You can download whatever. I've seen them all. The really good one is if you can find the torrent or the secret internet file of the Dune 4-hour one with the storyboard still shots of the first 30 minutes. That one's great. That's the extent of my nerdness. And I mean, come on, David Lynch doing Dune? Forget Jodorowsky. I want this one. I want my David Lynch Dune. I want no Jodorowsky Dune. He'd be screwing it up, making it all about pee-pee and poo-poo. That's not what Dune's about, dude. Did you know that? Dune is not about fecal matter. It's about freaking Kwisatz Haderach, dude. Another one of the staples. You got to include something idiotic and stupid in the staples, right? You got to have something silly. I don't know why. I didn't grow up with this movie, oddly enough. I watched it many years after growing up, if in fact I am grown up. And it never ceases to entertain. I don't care how many times I watch this movie, it never ceases to be entertaining. It's just at once bizarre, at once unintentionally hilarious, entertaining, essence of 80s. And that is, of course, Lost Boys. Michael. If you try to do a drinking game to the number of times Michael is said, you will die. Very easy to write that screenplay because half of the dialogue is just people repeating Michael. But if you've never seen Lost Boys, you're in for a treat because... And by the way, there's some weird stuff. I did an analysis. Did Lost Boys make Lost? I think it's in Esoteric Hollywood too. Yeah. I mean, I'm so right about my analysis of Lost Boys that Vice magazine did an article on Lost Boys that summarizes my analysis, and they actually gave me credit. I couldn't believe it. I'm not promoting Vice. I'm just saying I can't stop them from writing that article. But hey, if you want to summarize and to give me props, okay, whatever. And we got a couple more here in the staples, best of all time for me. And again, they're not the best of all time for everyone. These are just for me. These are my favorites of all time. If you don't like these, I don't care. Alien anthology. Excuse me, quadrilogy. I go back and forth on Prometheus. Somebody was asking me the other day, why don't you like Prometheus? I will give you another chance. I will tell this person, as I tell you, I will go back and I will review Prometheus. And I will see if I change my mind. In fact, there's a whole stack of weird ones, some of which I've changed my mind on. So I will give people benefit of the doubt, and I will give Prometheus another chance. I don't think I'm going to be swayed because I feel my main problem with Prometheus is that I feel like all of the jump scares and the thing on the face of the spacesuit, this is all from the other ones. It's like they just picked the tense scenes from every previous Alien movie and repeated them. And the more that I watched the Alien films, the more that I liked them. Even the Jean-Pierre Jeunet, I even like his, and everybody hates his. I like it now. I've decided that the David Fincher Alien 3 is good. There's nothing wrong with that movie. The James Cameron installment is great. Obviously, the Ridley Scott installment is a perfect movie. What is wrong with Alien Resurrection says Walmart took over the universe. You gotta love that movie for that alone. I mean, that's wild, right? That's in the screenplay. And also the themes in Alien Resurrection. I mean, it's like, it's talking about stuff that's out now. Like crazy genetic engineering. Walmart takes over the universe. That's some pretty awesome stuff, right? I mean, how can you not like... Oh, man, we're dead meat, man. I mean, you gotta like that one, right? You gotta like Aliens, but... it's a series that I never get tired of, and I always enjoy, even the later installments. I just can't... I don't know. I mean, I watched Prometheus and I was entertained, but at the same time, it was a big letdown. Alien Covenant, I was really into it. I was liking the themes. I think I did a video on Alien Covenant. And then it's like, they rushed this like 20-minute quick ending thing. I don't know. Yes, it has the weird, creepy, esoteric stuff in it. Alien Covenant, I'm saying. As does Prometheus. It's definitely worth analyzing. It's not that it's bad. It's just that it was subpar. That's what I'm trying to say. Right? Prometheus is not bad. It's subpar. Alien Covenant was also... It's one of those things where you're really into the movie, you know? And this is what happens to me. I feel like the last few years, movies, TV shows, I get really into it. And then I feel let down. It's like, that's the ending? Come on. That was weak, dude. That's what I feel like happens a lot of the times. I don't know why. Staples here. If you're a young dude, you're new to film, well, you got to watch the Hitchcock classics. Right? You got to know these. This is canonical film here. And yeah, I know that you got to do the Criterion Collection. And there's plenty of things in the Criterion Collection that you should watch. A lot of the Criterion Collection, I think, is garbage, by the way. But yeah, you need to watch Tarkovsky and all that. And we will eventually get to Tarkovsky, I promise. But right now we're doing American film. We're going to be jingoistic here. And you know, we're going to do, even though he's not from America, but you know what I mean. Rear Window, Vertigo, North by Northwest, Psycho, The Birds. Okay, if you've not seen these movies, come on. And I never get tired of... Rear Window's a little slow to watch over and over, but I've seen Vertigo countless times. I've seen North by Northwest countless times. I've seen The Birds countless times. Psycho's pretty disturbing. Not a movie you'd want to watch over and over, but a very wild film. I mean, yes, it's like the first slasher movie, but that's not the wild part. The wild part is Norman Bates's deviation. You notice any pre-signifiers there to where we are now in his tendencies? Every dude, obviously, a classic dude movie. I don't know any dude who doesn't think this is on, like one of the best guy movies. Braveheart, right? I don't even need to go into Braveheart. Everybody's seen Braveheart, but it's a classic, great movie. Of the Kubrick canon, obviously, Eyes Wide Shut's kind of... I'm not going to constantly rewatch Eyes Wide Shut, but I never get tired of The Shining. Like, there's always some new detail in The Shining to pick out. And so, typically, the ones that I never get tired of or always like to do are either ones that are really fun that I grew up with, or it's a movie or a show like The Shining or Twin Peaks that every time I watch it, there's something new I never noticed. It's like, whoa. That's how you know it's like a really well done production of art, is that you can never exhaust the symbolism, right? Now, last couple ones for the staples. What tops it out as probably my favorite television show of all time? That one's not hard. I'm not including comedies here, but shows other than comedies here. And I'm very limited in which comedies I would recommend anybody. There's only like 3 or 4 comedies, 5 comedies that I really like ever. Best show of all time, obviously, You got it. No question here. X-Files. Now, what are the best seasons of the X-Files? 1, 2, and 3. If you've not watched the X-Files, bro, where you been, dude? This is canonical conspiracy material, okay? Everybody should have seen the X-Files. And for whatever reason, 90s, it was around the time that I was starting to detach from pop culture. And I stopped watching films and TV for a long, long time because I was really enmeshed in it. It was like an idol for me, right? So for me, it was necessary back in the 90s to totally purge myself for many years of anything pop culture because that was an idol. And then as often happens, you know, as you are purged from that addiction or that fixation, you can later appreciate the arts or whatever you're into in the proper, correct, you know, dosage, right? So now that my life hopefully is better oriented by God's grace to have things in the right order, right? There's nothing wrong with enjoying the arts and this kind of stuff. But sometimes you do need to go through that period. That's the whole purpose of fasting, right? Is you go through these periods of removing the thing that you're really attached to so that you don't make it into an idol. So what I'm getting at is just that when X-Files was out, it was when the period where I started not watching television and movies. And then I later went back, and as soon as I watched X-Files, I didn't even know what it was. I thought it was a show that was like Penn and Teller, like some kind of scientism debunk thing. And I was like, why would I watch that? That's dumb, dude. I'm going to watch some scientism show. Really, it's just Scully that represents the scientism fedora element. Scully's definitely a fedora wearing woman early on. And now, once I got into it, I was hooked. If you're a conspiracy dork, then obviously you're going to love X-Files. I mean, it's just natural. And it's a phenomenal show. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on there. Jamie and I are planning a top 10 X-Files episode installment we'll do where we cover the best ones of X-Files. Just personally, I really enjoy 1, 2, and 3. There's nothing wrong with 4 and 5 and 6. There's a lot of really great comedic episodes in those. And I don't even mind the Doggett and Reyes seasons. I enjoy those as well. I've even watched the newer seasons in the last couple of years. Some of those are really good, like the Mr. Chuckle Cheese guy or whatever. That episode was great. There's a Mandela Effect episode that's great. The AI bots episode is great of the new season. So there's definitely some stellar work in the new ones as well. But you can't beat seasons 1, 2, and 3. I mean, it's just classic conspiracy. Even if you're not into UFO crap, I mean, I'm not into UFO conspiracy stuff. That's like boomer conspiracy stuff, right? But X-Files is still great, even if you're not into that. All right. Last of the staples here, and we just got a few more. By the way, thank you for those super chats. Nick says for $5, congratulations, Jay, 60K. Any chance that you would do an analysis of, that's a good one, the Rolling Stones documentary, Give Me Shelter, is 50 years old and more relevant than ever. Cheers, buddy. That's a great idea. We keep sleeping on documentaries, dude. There's so many documentaries that we need to cover. Jamie and I have covered a couple. Let me write that down. But we are sleeping on some hot docs, baby. So let me write that down. Give Me Shelter. And I'm over here drinking all these fizzy drinks. And I'm going to have to go wee-wee. So let me give you all a little bit of dire wave again. And I'll be right back after I go tinkle. Thank you to whoever made the dire wave audio. I like that. It's some sweet stuff. In fact, I may just let that play again while we let some more people roll on in here. All right. Whew. So many fizzy drinks, baby. The Saint, the staple, never gets old. Who doesn't love this movie? This movie is great. I thought they were going to make a new one with Chris Pratt, which would be probably all right. I'll give Chris Pratt the benefit of the doubt. He could probably he'd be a good Saint, but I really enjoyed because it was like my senior year. I was having a lot of fun. It's a great spy movie. It's also silly. He plays a lot of silly characters and acts a lot of silly voices. If you've never seen The Saint, the Val Kilmer Saint, I highly recommend it. I never get tired of it. I did a whole episode of that. I think we did a Val Kilmer stream. Yeah, that was a fun stream. If you've not seen, I don't know what it was, but whenever I was starting to do the like 2-hour movie streams of 5 different movies, the algorithm started not letting those be promoted. So they're great. They're a lot of fun. So if you want to see the analyses of those, go dig them out of the archive. They're worth watching. All right. What are my favorite comedies? It may not be what you expect. I don't know. Maybe you would expect these, but just picked out a few. I'm a big Jared Hess fan. I think he makes some of my favorite comedy movies. I think, now he didn't do every one of these, but he at least was involved in some degree. Masterminds, I thought, was the last really good comedy that I saw. Zach Galifianakis was great in that. Jason Sudeikis was great. Kristen Wiig, they were all great. I thought Zach Galifianakis was hilarious in that movie. I don't know why the critics bombed that, but I mean the sequence in the car with him with the blonde wig and the snake contacts and the kissing scene with, I mean, that is hilarious. Who would not find that movie funny? What is wrong with people? That movie is a comedy masterpiece. Now, I didn't actually like Gentleman Broncos when it came out. I've changed my mind. It's a comedy masterpiece. This movie is great. Obviously, everyone likes Napoleon Dynamite. And if you do enjoy his style of humor, go watch Sasquatch Gang. It's a classic. Excellent kind of spoof on conspiracy culture as well. Every product that Jared Hess has given us so far, movie-wise, it's great. Like, who doesn't think this guy's funny? I do think Hot Rod is a classic. I'll give Andy Samberg credit. He's done one of my favorite comedy movies. Pop Star, Andy Samberg, also great. Billy Bob. Billy Bob gets credit because Bad Santa is... Dude, how can you not laugh at Bad Santa? I mean, this movie... The fat kid... The dialogue with the fat kid never stops being funny. That fat kid is the funniest thing ever. I mean, him and the chocolate, Days of Christmas thing, the pickle. Oh my gosh, dude, the pickle scene. Come on. It never stops being funny. The argument in the car when Billy Bob first meets him, they have that argument. Dude, I'm going to start crying laughing right now thinking about it. And then my other favorite comedy show, again, this is besides Riff Tracks and Mystery Science Theater. Obviously, those are at the top. Obviously, MDE, $1 Million Stream. Obviously, Mr. Hyde. And, it's kind of sad that they only gave Flight of the Conchords 2 seasons. I mean, this is genius comedy. I mean, who would not want a 3rd season? How could anybody not have been watching this? It's a crime, really, that we didn't get more of Flight of the Conchords. Now, granted, I know there are really great British comedies that I'm not diving into here. I've only recently been turned on to The Mighty Boosh in the last year. Who's the other 2 guys? I'm going blank, but actually, I think the Mighty Boosh guys are funnier than the other 2 guys from the last previous decade that were the top guys in the UK. Anyway, Mighty Boosh is great. It's also very weird and in this vein. You know, I mean, Tim and Eric. I'm not. If you like Sam Hyde, then obviously you know about that drama. But the early Tim and Eric stuff, I love it. It's great. So that's what that's what I do for comedy. Just a couple 80s movies. What are some 80s movies that I really love? Always funny, right? I mean, you may not like Rodney Dangerfield. Oh, it's boomer humor. It is, but he's funny. Like, he's funny boomer humor. This is funny. I mean, I don't know. It is. It's funny. This movie is funny. If you've never seen Roadhouse, I was talking to somebody the other day. They're like, what's Roadhouse? I'm like, what? You've never seen Roadhouse? Roadhouse, I almost think is satire, right? Just like Con Air. I mean, is this for real? Is this satire? I can't tell. I can't tell if Roadhouse is. I really can't. Because it's funny. Like, I literally don't know if it's unintentionally funny or satire. I have like a reverse autism where I can't tell. I think everything is intentionally funny and satire. You go watch this, and if you've not seen it in many years, watch it through the lens of satire and tell me if it's not. You tell me. You tell me. Willow! Right, everybody loves Willow. We grew up with Willow. Goonies. A movie that a lot of 80s comedies don't stand up. Right? They don't hold up well. They're not that funny now. There's a few that are. There's a few. One of the ones that held up better than I expected was Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. This is still funny. Not every scene. But it's very difficult to make something, to have a film or something, and it be funny, 20, 30 years later. That's very difficult. But I'm going to give Michael Caine and Steve Martin credit. They are funny 20, 30 years later in this film. If you've not seen Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, it's one of the few 80s films that's still funny. It's not ha-ha, you're going to die laughing type of funny, but I've really been enjoying Uncle Buck. Like, I saw Uncle Buck so many times, and I know it's not 80s, it's 1990 or whatever, 89, 90. But I got tired of it because, it's one of those ones, we had the VHS laying around, and you have like 5 VHS back in the 80s and 90s, so you just watch the same movie. I've seen Mighty Ducks. Like, my brother would play Mighty Ducks over, and then he would play the freaking VHS of the movie He-Man and the Masters of the Universe with Dolph Lundgren. I hate those movies because my little brother would play those movies over and over and over. And he would play the Van Damme Street Fighter movie. And he would play the Mortal Kombat movie. So certain movies I despise just because you're 16, 17. You want to watch some badass Quentin Tarantino movie. And it's your brother's turn for the VCR. And he wants to watch Mighty Ducks for the 50th time. Screw you, Emilio. But go watch Uncle Buck. It's fun. And by the way, pay attention to the interesting Cold War Marxist references. I don't know why that comes up in Uncle Buck. It comes up like 3 or 4 times. I don't know what it means. You tell me. Weird stuff. Obviously, if you've never seen Weird Science, staple of the 80s. Definitely go watch this. And who doesn't love Face Off, right? I know it's not 80s, but once again, anything 1997, right, I'm gonna love it, right? That's if it's the year that you graduated, it's just a fun year, right? It's just a fun year. All right, last little bit here. Overlooked gems. Obscure films, and new to me. I didn't, like I was saying earlier, I didn't understand or get the satirical. I knew it was supposed to be satire, but I didn't understand why it was good. Go back now and watch now that we're in 2020. Go back and watch Natural Born Killers. Dude, This is mind-blowing. It's like, what? Yes. So he's telling you what TV and mass media would do to the country. Now you can look back, 30 years, whatever it is, and see, no, wait, yeah, yes, this was correct. Right? I mean, he was right. And listen to the speech that Mickey gives in the jail. Mickey and Mallory, the two, crazy serial killers here. When they interview Mickey in the jail, listen to the speech he gives. It's the most important part of the movie from the aspect of like explaining what's going on and what it's about. And he lays out this speech of Darwinian naturalism. And he lays out the inherent contradiction in Americanism and American philosophy combined with the Darwinian naturalism. And Mickey basically says, why do any of you have a problem with me? He actually has a good argument, right? I mean, it's when you grasp that's what that movie is about, it takes on a whole new dimension. So I highly recommend that you go watch it. And when you watch these satires like this, like at the time, you don't. I remember, it was a big controversy. It's violent, all the violence. Dude, the violence in that movie is so ridiculous. It's not like it's like fake black blood that squirts up. It doesn't even look real. And that's because it's on purpose. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious that it's satire. Come on. Elements of it are satire is what I'm trying to say. I really enjoyed Color Out of Space. We already did an analysis of that. I don't understand all these nerds in the comments of that video that don't understand that I'm correct in my analysis. The movie has the Crowleyan stuff in the movie. And all these like fedora people are on there like, there's nothing to do with Crowley in this. I know that the original story is not about that. Duh, I'm reviewing the movie, not the original story. I don't know why. Because I watched movies in this time period. I never saw Blade. Yes, I never saw Blade until last year. I don't know how I missed this. And I had so much fun with it that I did a whole stream last year. It was like a Halloween stream or something. Maybe it was 2 years ago. Or I don't know. But the Blade Halloween, that was a fun stream. Halloween stream, we were talking about, like creepy Halloween movies with esoteric themes. And I did a whole Blade trilogy. There's some serious Illuminate confirmed stuff going on in the Blade trilogy, as silly as it is. And man, it was great fun. I mean, who doesn't want to see vampires, techno, Illuminati, and Ham Planet vampire? Literally like a 700-pound vampire. That was hilarious. The Blade trilogy was good fun. Shout out to Hesh. He turned me on to this. I did not think I would like this, but Phantasm. Phantasm was great. If you like the John Carpenter stuff and you want another kind of B movie, there's a lot of good B movies, by the way. If you want a B movie that's good, I think we did Jamie and I did a segment on Phantasm. Yes. Gems that I missed, right? Recent to me. Hesher told me a couple years ago, watch Phantasm. I loved it. Phantasm was great. I don't know how. I know sometimes even movie buffs are guilty of sleeping on classics. I don't know how I never watched Weekend at Bernie's. It's great. I went through the whole 80s and 90s, 2010s. I never saw Weekend at Bernie's. I don't know. The idea sounded so dumb. I was like, that can't be any good. That can't be funny. That's too dumb. No, it's great. It holds up well. It's still funny. So that was a lost gem. Some people are going to take issue with me on this one because it was at that time period when all of these movies were coming out just like Sixth Sense, right? I know. There was the one with Kevin Bacon, the dead girl. Yeah, I know. But I will defend this movie. It has some really interesting esoteric stuff going on, some neat symbolism. It's got a good twist. A lot of people didn't see it. A lot of critics bombed it. I think it's a good movie. Go watch Stay. What's wrong with this movie? Why did the few people who saw it hate it? There's nothing wrong with this movie. Unless you just think the near-death experience stuff is cheeseball or something. I don't know. Okay. But, if you like in the vein of Sixth Sense type of movie, Stay is a good movie. Once again, I don't know how I missed this in the 80s and 90s. Somehow I did. Just like Weekend at Bernie's, I never saw Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead until the last few years. This was fun. This was great. You've even got some Corey Feldman up in this mug. Right? A lot of fun here. It's got Corey Feldman in it. Or no, I'm mixing up The Burbs. I can't stand Tom Hanks movies, by the way. I will grant The Burbs. Okay, I like The Burbs. The Burbs is good. But excuse me, no, this is not. It's Corey Feldman's in The Burbs, but Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. I enjoyed it. It was. I tried watching this movie and I couldn't get into it the first time, and then somebody mentioned it on a stream or in the comments the other day. I was like, oh, I'll give that another shot, and now I like it. Have you seen River's Edge? This is like Keanu. He's new. he's Neo to the scene of movies. One of his first movies. It's right before or after Bill and Ted. This is a art house film. Dennis Hopper plays the psychopath like he does in Blue Velvet. It's like the same dude. There's something to do to it. So Isaac just interviewed, by the way. I can't remember the director's name. So he made a movie with Crispin Glover right after Crispin Glover was in this and Wild at Heart, because if you remember, there's the cameo scene of Crispin Glover in Wild at Heart as the crazy guy who puts cockroaches in his underwear and has an obsession with Christmas. So Crispin Glover and David Lynch are friends, and so Crispin Glover put out this movie with the guy that Isaac Weishaupt just interviewed, and that's what made me watch this. That's why I watched this movie. That's what it was. He was talking about this movie. Go watch this. It's wild. I think it's a critique of psychopathic teenagers. The teens in this movie are psycho, dude, and so they're oblivious to death. And even though Dennis Hopper represents the older generation, right? You would think, so Dennis Hopper's kind of he's the anomaly of the boomer era because he's the psychopath in the film. But in the Gen Z crowd that's up and coming, Iona Sky, Keanu, Crispin Glover, they're basically all psychopathic too. Except for Keanu, right? Keanu's kind of got some morals here. He's got a little bit of a conscience that's bugging him. It's a weird film. It doesn't go in the way that you expect. So, a very well done weird art house film that I do recommend. And I do have a friend who is a friend who is in a famous family. I've been trying to get. I don't think it'll ever happen, but I'm trying to get somebody from this movie on. I don't think that'll ever happen, though, but whatever. I tried at least. It would have been a cool interview. This is a curious film. It's a tween coming of age kind of adventure film that I was surprised I liked. Have you seen City of Ember? This is actually a good movie. It is Plato's allegory of the cave told in yet again another dystopian setting. So if you've not seen City of Ember, I do recommend it. It's a good movie. It's not what you expect, and it's not like THX. It's not dismal. There's a lot of interesting esoteric themes going on in City of Ember. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but Plato's allegory of the cave. Now, if you grew up with Labyrinth, which is, David Bowie, Jim Henson, and you're wanting something a little more sophisticated and bizarre for an older crowd, right? I mean, Labyrinth is for kids, whatever. Have you seen Mirror Mask? This is a crazy movie. Now, the bizarre CGI that's in this movie will look a little weird to today's audience, but nevertheless, even still, the bizarre CGI in this movie is a kind of it draws you in. The spectacle draws you in because we enter into her subconscious. We go into her dream state. And she has to unlock these repressed memories in her dream state. Yes, we've got like MK Ultra level stuff. It's very similar to the themes of Labyrinth, but I believe it's Jim Henson's last film. And if you've not seen Mirror Mask, I highly recommend it. It's a pretty deep, archetypal dream sequence type of thing. Again, recent gems, and by recent, I mean, the last 4 years. Ones that I never watched growing up that I've come to really appreciate or review and change my mind on. Now, the first time I watched this, we just did a show on this. I didn't like it. I thought it was interesting, but I was like, what the heck? Well, now I've decoded it. Now I think it's badass. And Videodrome has convinced me that David Cronenberg is good. But what got me to rewatch this was Scanners. Once I finally went through Scanners, I was like, dude, this is great. If you like John Carpenter, you're going to love Scanners and Videodrome. And Videodrome Videodrome and Scanners have these insights into New World Order, Deep State stuff that you don't expect. It's like, whoa, dude. I rewatched this recently. It was still good. It's totally 90s techno, rave sequence stuff or whatever. It's still a good movie. It held up well. What year did this come out? Was it 99? I don't know. It doesn't have a date on it. I think it's 99. 99, 2000. If you've not seen Taika Waititi's first film, Run Lola Run, it's a great film. There's some interesting symbolism in it that you have to pay attention to. It's basically about free will determinism, right? Which, if you're a philosophy major, you get tired of the free will determinism debate and people making movies thinking that they're being deep by discussing free will determinism. Okay, yeah, whatever. And every time travel movie is about free will and determinism. This one is good. Even though it's about free will and determinism, it's a good movie. If you've not seen that, a lot of you young kids don't know these things. You don't know these avant-garde 90s movies. Let me think. So before Color Out of Space and Mandy, right? So two recent Nick Cage stellar performances. There was kind of a dry spell there. The last really good Nick Cage, and I'm not kidding, the last really good Nick Cage movie was Joe. If you've not seen Joe, this is excellent. Excellent drama. It was a gem I did not expect. I was like, is this just going to be Crage? Or is this going to be rational Crage? It's rational Crage here. If you like neo-noir, if you've never seen Brick, I highly recommend you watch Brick. This is, imagine neo-noir in high school. Interesting twist. A lot of funny slang. You almost have to decode the slang to understand the screenplay, which you can do, but you have to pay attention to the movie. Very smart, very well done. A lot of tropes and references to, classic noir films. If you've not seen Brick, I highly recommend Brick. And last but not least, just hidden gems that people forget. I don't know why this didn't do so well. I mean, it bombed, I think, in the box office. Richard Kelly was interesting because it seemed like he was going to be the next big director. I mean, Donnie Darko was, phenomenal movie. And then Richard Kelly does Domino or produces it or something, and that didn't do so well. And then I like the box. I think the box is good. A lot of people don't like the box. Whatever. I think Southland Tales is good. A lot of people don't like Southland Tales. Now, maybe they don't like it because they think it's kind of too similar to the stuff going on in Donnie Darko with the time loop stuff, whatever. It doesn't bother me in this. I feel like this is like, because if you watch David Lynch, there's time loop type stuff too at times. It's almost like this is like Donnie Darko meets David Lynch or something, like the time loop stuff. But this is also very comedic. There's a lot of comedic elements in this, which there's a little bit of that in Donnie Darko, but not really. There's no comedy in the box. This is, I'll argue, it's a good movie. I mean, it's dystopian. We're kind of seeing some of the elements that are in this movie now. This is 2008. Here we are 12 years later. I don't know. You go watch it and tell me. I mean, you've got Sarah Michelle Gellar doing the pop star thing. You've got The Rock as the protagonist. He does well in this. You've got Mandy Moore shows up in this. Not that I care about these pop stars per se, but like even the Justin Timberlake role is interesting. And there's mind control. There's the Marxists. And guess who controls the Marxists? Oh, like Zillionaire. There you go. Definitely some esoteric theme. We need to do Southland Tales because there's actually some pretty wild esoteric stuff going on in Southland Tales. Michael Schlosser for $5. Is art like the David Lynch mindset the output of overfed nihilistic thinking? I don't think so. I mean, I think art ultimately should reflect divine principles and divine truth, harmony, symphony, proportion, those kinds of things. That's classically what art does. You can't be like super dogmatic about that and act like that means you can never have dark themes, or if that was the case, then you can't read Flannery O'Connor. Well, Flannery O'Connor's novels are awesome, her short stories especially, right? So are you going to have you're going to purge the world of Flannery O'Connor because she has these silly, ridiculous, and at times dark themes in her books? I mean, I don't know. There's a balance here that somebody's got to strike. Okay, so it's not all nihilism. I don't think David Lynch's stuff's nihilistic. I think it's occultic, esoteric. David Ryle, $10. Thank you for the David Lynch series. Yeah, I mean, if you go back to old Jason Elsa stuff, we've covered all of Twin Peaks. We've covered many of the Lynch movies. So today was just, favorite movies. We're just having fun today. I don't see any more super chats, but here we are. We're at 60. We crossed the big bridge of 60. So if you guys haven't seen the show we just put up today from a few days ago that we recorded with Isaac Weishaupt, Sam Tripoli, and Chrissy Mayer, that just went up today. So go watch that on the channel. That was a fun show. We got into more of the craziness of the pop stars with Mariah Carey and the allegations going on of ritual abuse and this kind of stuff. We talked about Christina Aguilera and some of the other pop stars, and we had Jamie Hanshaw with us. So check that stuff out. A lot of fun today. Thank you guys. I want to thank you guys because we're here because of all y'all. For you guys subscribing and supporting Jay's Analysis and buying the books and subscribing to the site. And yeah, I love you guys. Glad to be here. All the nerds. What's up, nerds? Shout out. Be sure and like and share if you would.